Hello and welcome to Dirt Road Believer. I'm Tina. I'm so glad you're here with me. February is filled with romance. I've got another amazing love story coming your way today. And you know, these love stories in the Bible, they're not just to entertain us. We can draw something from every one of them to pertain to our own relationship and to get us excited about being in love and having that other person to share life with. All right. Speaking of sharing, I'm not good at sharing my Mama's cheesecakes, okay? I'm standing outside of Aunt Mo's Cheesecakes in Lafayette, Georgia to remind you that we have a Valentine giveaway coming up. So make sure you enter to win today because it's the last day you can enter to win. We will draw Tuesday. So get your submissions in if you want to enter to win the cheesecake from Aunt Mo's in Lafayette, Georgia, which is a pickup, by the way. She's also throwing in a slice of her cheesecake of the day. So you just comment Aunt Mo's Cheesecakes or Aunt Mo's and you will be entered to win that. If you want to enter to win the giveaway, that is a Valentine care package that will be mailed to you, then just comment Happy Valentine's and you will be entered to win that. Again, we will draw on next Tuesday. That's right. All right, guys, we're gonna get into our video. I can't make cheesecake, but I can make a killer chocolate pie, and it really is, I think, why my husband married me. So all you single ladies, get your pens and paper and write down this recipe and learn how to perfect it, because it will snag a man. So I'm going to share with you how to make my chocolate pie today, my famous chocolate pie. And then our story today, you know, we're inviting you this month to really romanticize with us about your relationship. And I'm telling you, nothing gets you more excited about your relationship than going back to the moment that you met your spouse or your boyfriend or significant other. And so today I'm going to be sharing how my husband and I met, and I've got a great love story from the Bible that has just the most romantic first meeting between a husband and a wife. So stick around for that, but now learn how to make my famous chocolate pie. We'll see you. Okay, we're in the kitchen and we are going to make something so delicious for Valentine's Day. It does take a little bit of time, but it's so worth it. You know, they say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. It really is true, because when I was dating my husband, I found out his favorite dessert was chocolate pie. So I learned to make the best chocolate pie in the world. And not bragging, but everybody loves my chocolate pie. I got it out of this family cookbook it's a church cookbook that's been around forever, called the Potpourri Cookbook. It was so popular that they reprinted it, and I got a copy of it, but my chocolate pie recipe has literally fallen out. So I'm going to get a close-up of this so that you can have this recipe and maybe screenshot it if you want to try it. But great little Valentine's treat for your Valentine. We're having some family over tonight for a family birthday, so my Valentine asked me if I would make it. So let's get started. Okay, so I already have the oven preheated to 350. I like to leave my pie crust out. I just use a pre-made pie crust and let it get a little room temperature. And I do pre-bake that just a little bit before I put my chocolate mixture in. All right, we're gonna go ahead and prepare for the meringue later on. So get our egg whites. I like to go ahead and do them in the stainless steel mixer. I'm going to use my KitchenAid mixer. So they're already there. We'll save our egg yolks for our chocolate mixture. And I have tried many ways, and I find that this is the most efficient for separating yolks from their egg whites. Can use a water bottle and just suck the yolk right out. Alright, so Okay, we will set our egg yolks and our egg whites to the side for now. We don't need them. Now we are going to do our mixture that's going to go into our saucepan. And so we'll start with 2 cups of sugar. Teaspoon of salt. Now I like to get this good and mixed up before I put it into my saucepan because it just cooks better, it mixes better. Okay, we're going to start on medium heat and add 2 cups of milk to our saucepan. And we'll just let this warm up. I've got the pie crust in the oven for about 10 minutes just to get a little cooked before we put the filling in. And you want to make sure you stir it a lot so it doesn't scorch to the bottom. But high heat is way too high. Now when this gets nice and hot, that's when you want to take your chocolate, Hershey's hot chocolate mixture that we did earlier, and just start stirring it in. Some of it kind of clumps up, but you just keep working it out. And then there's you can see this is going to make almost like a pudding will be the consistency of it. You just keep stirring, 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 and it'll start boiling and doing its thing here a little bit. And then we'll add our butter, vanilla, and our egg yolks. Okay, this is what you want to see right here. Starting to thicken up. You can see it's starting, if I leave it alone, it's starting to boil a little bit. That's what you want to see. And I spend just a little bit of time stirring it while it's like that. And then we just have a few ingredients left. You may remember the egg yolks. Before you add the egg yolks, it's important to beat them. So I have done that already. And that too, when those eggs cook in there, it's going to thicken it up even more. And it's also going to bake in the pie shell. So I'm going to take it off the heat. Bit at a time as you stir. Turn my heat down a little bit. We're going to add 1 tablespoon or teaspoon, excuse me, of vanilla extract, and I'm just eyeballing it. I like a lot of vanilla. And then the last thing we're going to stir in is 4 ounces of butter and salted butter. And then after the butter melts, you're just going to pour your filling in. I had a snafu with my pie crust, so. And then we will put it in for 30 minutes at 350. Alright, so we are making our meringue now. Going to mix up our 4 egg whites. Welcome back, and I hope that chocolate pie got your taste buds working overtime. It is delicious. So that's something you can make for Valentine's if you want to. All right, we are going to start our love story for today, and we find this love story in Genesis 24 if you want to turn. And the most romantic part about this whole relationship is the way that they meet. And so just to share with you how I met my husband, I had just moved to this town from college and gotten a teaching job, and met a person through my job whose son was getting married, and at the last minute whoever was going to play the piano backed out, so she asked me if I would play. I agreed, and my husband happened to be the best man at this wedding. So I can still recall at the rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding, there were 2 double doors at the back of the church. It was like they opened in slow motion, and in walks my husband. And immediately I looked down, and I had some little ring, not a wedding ring obviously, but some little ring on my wedding finger. So I was trying very hard to get it off so he would not think that I was committed to anyone. And I guess I had a little bloating or something going on because it was not coming off. So I was like, well, forget that one. Anyway, we wound up meeting at a dinner afterwards, and There's a lot more to the story after that, but that was our first meeting. We met in a church, and then he came back weeks later and asked me out in a church service. So I just love hearing how couples meet, and you're gonna love the way this couple met today. So we're in Genesis 24, and this is Isaac and Rebecca, the story of how they met. Now, you know me, I'm not gonna read word for word, but I'm gonna paraphrase a little, read a little, so hopefully I can put the most romantic spin on the story possible. It is very romantic. But, okay, Isaac is the son of Abraham, Sarah's son. Remember, she had a son when she was really, really old? Well, it was Isaac. And so Sarah has just passed away, and so Isaac and Abraham both are feeling very sad right now, and it is time, Abraham feels that it is time for Isaac to have a wife, only he does not want it to be from among the Canaanite women that they live among, because they do not honor God with their lives. And so Abraham's getting old in years, and the Lord has blessed him in everything. So he brings his servant to him, and he tells him to make an oath to him that he will carry out his instructions to bring Isaac a wife. And he tells him that he's supposed to go to the family, back to my land where I'm from and my family, and take a wife for my son Isaac. And his servant says to him, what if she's unwilling to come back with me from the land from where you came? And Abraham answers him, make sure that you don't take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from my native land, who spoke to me and swore to me, I will give this land to your offspring, and he will send an angel before you. So this servant of Abraham's goes back to where Abraham and Sarah are from to get a wife. Now, you know, how many women, he's already doubting, because how many women are going to be like, oh yeah, I don't know you, but I'll go. So he goes, and he sits down at a well, and there's a shepherdess who comes up, and she is beautiful and lovely. So let's read about Rebecca here. It says in verse 15, before the servant had finished speaking, there was Rebecca, daughter of Bethuel's son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor, coming with a jug on her shoulder. Now the girl was very beautiful and a virgin. No man had been intimate with her. She went down to the spring, filled her jug, and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me have some water from your jug. She replied, drink, my lord. And she quickly lowered her jug to her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I'll also draw water for your camels until they have had enough to drink. And she quickly emptied her jug into the trough and hurried to the well again to draw water. She drew water for all his camels, while the man silently watched her to see whether or not the Lord had made his journey a success. So here comes this woman from the field tending sheep at the end of the day. Not an easy job. So we've got this beautiful, pure woman who, it's like the song says, she don't know she's beautiful. She works hard every day, and we see right away just how humble and how compassionate and giving she is, because not only does she meet the request to give him water, the servant water, but she also says, let me get your camels water too. So we see the heart of Rebecca right away. And what we find out later in the story, after Rebecca's family has welcomed the servants in and provided for their animals and fed them, what we find out is what that servant was doing at the time Rebecca came up and gave him water. So we skip ahead in this chapter to verse 42, and it says, the servant is saying, today when I came to the spring, I prayed, Lord God of my master Abraham, if only you will make my journey a success. I'm standing here at a spring. Let the young woman who comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please let me drink a little water from your jug, and she responds to me, drink, and I'll draw water for your camels also. Let her be the woman that the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Before I had even finished praying silently, there was Rebekah coming with her jug on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water, and she also drew water for his camels. And so he worshiped the Lord. So we see later, we hear the servant's account of the prayer that he was praying to God. God, let the woman who appears before me next, let her be the one, and I'll know because she's going to draw water for me. She'll be humble, she will be serving. And so prayer is tied to Isaac's wife. We know that Abraham was a man of prayer. So before he ever sent his servant on this journey, as the servant was on his journey, we know that Abraham was seeking the face of the Lord for Isaac's wife. And they're like, the servant is like, will you come back with me to be the wife of my servant? She says yes. The family asks, can she just stay another 10 days just so we can, have our goodbyes and some closure? And the servant says, let's ask her. Like, does she want to go? And so Rebekah willingly says, I will go with you in the morning. And so she goes, and that brings us to when they meet. This is so beautiful. So that brings us to the morning that they leave in verse 61. Then Rebekah and her female servants got up, mounted the camels, and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and left. Now Isaac was returning from Bir-halaroi, where he was living in the Negev region. In the early evening, Isaac went out to walk in the field, and looking up, he saw camels coming. Rebekah looked up and saw Isaac. She got down from her camel and asked the servant, who is that man in the field coming to meet us? The servant answered, it's my master. So she took her veil and she covered herself. Then the servant told Isaac everything he had done. And Isaac brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah and took Rebekah to be his wife. Isaac loved her and was comforted after his mother's death. Guys, oh gosh, when he says she got off that camel and said, who is that man coming toward us? You can tell there was an attraction between both of them at the exact same time. Kind of reminds me of my little story, my little love story. But what I want to point out in this beautiful love story between Isaac and Rebekah is two things. Number one, there was a lot of prayer that went into finding Isaac's wife, Rebekah. There was also a very special place that she took within that family, which was, Sarah was gone. Sarah died. And so her coming into this family at this exact time was exactly what Isaac needed, what Abraham needed, and it was a special role that she fulfilled within the family. And so if you don't know where I'm going with this, listen up, parents. We are called to pray for our children's spouses, not when they go off to college, not when, they're living away from us. Now take time daily to pray for the special role that your daughter-in-law, son-in-law is going to fulfill within your family. There is a promised one, a soulmate, if you want to call them that is out there, and they are there is an appointed and anointed time that they are going to meet your child at the exact time to fulfill an exact role in their life and in the life of your family. And I get excited thinking about that because, I can't wait to meet that person and just to see how they balance out my child and their personality and their ways, and then what they are going to bring to me. And God, prepare my heart to have my arms open to that individual when they come along, and to be there to treat them as my child, to love them, to help give them what they need, guide and direct them. And so guys, I just love this beautiful story, and you can just almost see it playing out in a movie where Isaac is walking through the field at dusk and he sees the camels coming, and their eyes meet, and Rebecca gets down off the camel and goes to him, and they immediately are married. So it's just a beautiful story. Guys, I hope that this helps you romanticize some about your own spouse and your own marriage. And don't forget to enter to win for the prize today, the Valentine Giveaway, which I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Guys, as always, you are in my prayers all the time. If you're a part of this channel, then I pray for you daily. I pray blessings and health upon you. And we're coming up on the weekend, so I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Do something special with your honey, okay? Romanticize a little bit. And I will see you next Tuesday. Until then, slow down. Take the dirt road, believer.